Throughout the world, everybody has one question, and that question is why? Why do we exist? Why is the world here? Why does someone believe this? Why do good things happen to bad people? Why do bad people get good things? Why do these people act this way or those people act that way? What did I do to deserve this? Why did this happen to me? Why? You get the gist. And I think this question is good in some ways. I think it's helped us advance as society. I think it's helped us solve a lot of problems. Not all of them, but it's helped us solve a lot of them. It's helped us make a lot of discoveries about, health, wellness, nutrition. They're all kind of the same thing. I don't know why I said that, but you get the point. But I think a lot of people apply this question to their lives too much. Some people just want to know the why to everything. On a personal level. Let's say, let me give an example here. When I was younger, I felt very neglected. I felt like I wasn't loved much as a child, and I felt like I wasn't really important unless something bad was happening. Unless there was a crisis going on. That was the only time it really mattered to anybody. I was always trying to figure out why. Why do I not deserve, to be loved like everybody else? Or why am I not noticed like everybody else? Why do I feel so alienated or alone? And I would constantly try to think of reasons. I would say, maybe it's because I'm weird. Maybe it's because I just wasn't very likable. Maybe it's because I deserved it. Maybe it was because I was just, annoying to be around. Maybe it's because I wasn't wanted and, I'm just here by chance and, I didn't have any real choice. Or maybe it's because this person's evil. Or, the reason I feel neglected is because my mom doesn't love me. And, I just, maybe she just doesn't care about me in the way I thought she did. I think that way of thinking, it really impacted me as a person. And not really in a good way, and that's why I'm kind of talking about this now. I felt like I looked for whys in so many things that I forgot that I'm never going to get an answer. I could think for 4 years about why did this thing happen to me? Why did this thing happen to me? Why did these people not like me? Why does people not want to be around me? I realized, despite my thinking of that for my entire life, nothing had actually changed. Because I was too focused on answering my question to move on from that thing. I was too busy trying to figure out why I was neglected or why I wasn't loved the way I thought I should be. But then I realized that it really doesn't matter. I could try to figure out why. I could say, yeah, maybe my mom wasn't really focused on me as a child because she was focused on, trying to date. Or she was focused on trying to make rent, or she was focused on 6 other siblings. All those outside factors that I had no control over. But while I did come to that conclusion, it still followed me. You know what I mean? That feeling of being neglected, that feeling of not really mattering to anybody, that feeling of just feeling like no matter where I go, I'm always alone. And that was because I realized I was too focused on my why this happens, and why did this happen to me, and why did this happen to me, and why am I this way and this way and this way, that I wasn't focused enough on changing, changing the way that I view myself, changing the way that I view things. Maybe I'm not an unlikable person, maybe I just surround myself with people that I'm not going to mesh well with. Maybe I'm not lonely, maybe I just isolate myself because I don't want to feel unlikable. All these things. And I realized that once I started thinking about it, everybody does that. Let's say someone cheated on you one time. You were dating this guy, let's say you were dating him 3 years, and he cheats on you with some girl. And you're thinking, why did he do this? Did I do something to deserve this? Or maybe he's just an asshole, misogynist, piece of shit. Or maybe I wasn't enough and I should have given him more love and I should have been better. Or maybe you think some different conclusion. And I realized that knowing why someone does something, it won't really solve your problems, right? You could come to a conclusion on a million things, but the conclusion you come to, if it doesn't change the way you live, and it doesn't make your life better, and it doesn't push you forward, then what was the point in wasting your time trying to figure out why? Maybe they just did it for their own personal reason you will never understand, but you trying to ask them, you trying to get in contact with them, you trying to reach back out after they did these bad things to you, you trying to understand them, you stalking their reposts, trying to understand their psyche. All of these things you really want to know, they're just going to keep hurting you. Because you trying to figure out the answer to a problem that you will never understand unless you're the person who did the thing, it's just going to leave you stuck on said problem. Like I said earlier with my story. All I'm saying is, as a human, I think it's okay to come to the conclusion that you don't know. You don't know why this person did this. You don't know why you were treated this way. Maybe you did something wrong. Maybe you did. And if you did, don't try to understand everything they did. Try to understand everything you did. Don't try to be like, okay, they did this, they did that, they did this. Think, okay, I did this. Maybe this hurt them. Maybe this didn't hurt them. Maybe this wasn't enough. But most of the time, the answer to the question is simple. Most of the time, it's just people don't really think about what their impact of their actions will be. A lot of people just don't really care enough, or maybe they just don't think about you enough as a person to do something bad to you and think that, oh yeah, this could be bad. A lot of times, the things that happen to you aren't even because of you. They're just because of the other person's life, the choices they make. It's good to take responsibility for when it is involving you, but when it's not, you don't really need to understand it. You just have to live despite it. I guess all I'm really trying to say is sometimes the chase for an answer will hurt you more than an answer will give. So, instead of always trying to know the answer to every question, trying to figure out why this happened to you or that happened to you, maybe it's time you try living despite it. And maybe someday in the future, 10 years from now, you'll understand everything. You'll be smart enough to think of every reason why everything could have happened to you. But until then, your life isn't going to move forward or advance if you keep trying to figure out why something's happening instead of living despite of it. Your life matters. Please don't waste it. I stream, by the way. Goodbye.